Hi, this is Ann, and I'm going to make the envelope part of this little hanger ornament or gift tag. You could put something inside here. In another video, a previous video, I made these little felt cups and I showed you how that was done. In another video, I'll show you how to put the beads on. This is using my fabric leaves, fabric painted leaves. But today we're just going to concentrate on the envelope. I take a piece of fabric, just regular white. This is a very finely woven fabric. I use it for all my fabric projects. And it's like a Pima cotton. And from that, well, I'm going to spray that with Material Magic, which is a product that is a fabric stabilizer, and it makes the fabric stiff like paper instead of flimsy like fabric. I'm going to take the piece and saturate it. You can look at the link for a video of how I stabilize the fabric. There's also a link on Material Art's YouTube channel. I'm going to be using Neocolor 2 Wax Pastel, and I'm only going to be using the raw sienna today. I have a little container for like a palette. I have a water spritz bottle, which I may or may not use. So I'm going to take my piece of fabric, and I've cut this into about a 4 3/8 inch square. You can cut it any size, but for the finished size for this project, that works pretty well. I'm going to spritz it again with Material Magic, and I may get a paintbrush or just move it around with my fingers. I want the edge to be saturated. And then it can move in. If I have any dry fabric, the pastel will stick on that and not move. So that's where I may put a little water, because the fabric will still be stiff after this, and after it dries. And I'm going to go ahead and take my wax pastel and I'm going to run it along the edge. If there's too much extra moisture on the area around the piece, I might just sop that up just so it's not being absorbed drawn up into the fabric. And I'm going to just drag my pastel across the edge. If you're on something that can rotate, that helps. And then you can use a round paintbrush, works well, but I like to use my fingers. So I'll just blend that a little bit, having it move into the fabric. Any of these threads I'm not worried about. I can either leave them because it is fabric, or I can cut them off. And I blend away from the edge so that I don't have a hard line, and in toward the center so that it's coloring the entire piece of fabric, but I want that edge to be the dark part. Okay, once I have it all blended and colored the way I like, and you could use any color, of course, this just makes it kind of look vintage. I'm going to let this dry, and air dry is fine. I've done it with a heat tool, and that works as well. Then after it's totally dry, we'll come back and do the next step. So after my piece is dry, I'm going to decide which side is darker. And I want the darker side to be on the outside. And then I'm going to decide which side I want up where the little rivet eyelet thing is going to be. That looks good to me. Either side would be okay. I'm going to go this way for today. And I'm going to take my pencil or something sharp. You could just poke a little bit of a hole. And I'm going to eyeball, you can measure if you want, just a little spot right there. And I'm going to find a little spot here on this corner. This is where I'm going to stitch across. So that's going to be my stitching right across those 2 points. And I'm going to do it on this side. You don't have to do this, you can just eyeball the whole thing if you don't care how exact it might be. Then for this part, because this is like paper, close to like paper, I'm going to use I have an 1/8 inch hole punch. For my, the little eyelet I'm going to put in there, a 1/4 inch punch is a little too big. You can try it if you want, but otherwise you can poke a hole with anything that's about the size that you want. Trying to get it close to center. So of course that's too small a hole, so now I'm going to take my scissors and make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to cut that little piece off that the little tail I have there from my hole punch. And it doesn't have to be perfectly round, it's no matter. I'm going to take my eyelet and my little squeezer gun thingy, and I'm going to stick it through there. I'm going to try. And give it a good squeeze and hope it comes out nice on the back side. That's good. If that's sharp, you could put something on there so it wouldn't be so sharp, a little piece of felt or something. But it's not going to be handled really, so that's fine. Now I'm going to kind of see where center point is. It's about here. I'm going to bring this up a little past center point. So I have like, I don't know, 1/4 or 1 3/4 or 1.5 inch here. You just want it so this side and that side are about even. And so this point is close to the top point. And I'm going to give this a crease across here. And then I'm going to bring this in, leaving about 3/8 of an inch or so. Well, actually I'm going to do both sides and then sort of see, but it seems like it usually is about 3/8 of an inch. I want those 2 points to come together and to have as close as possible, and to have this space down here be about the same. So then I'm going to crease that. And this is really easy because the Material Magic made it like paper. And then across here I'm going to fold this tip down. You could cut it off, but I like to just fold it down. So I'm going to fold it this way first so that I see about where I am. Oh, that's kind of cute. You could leave it just like that actually and stitch across there. But I don't know, I like that. Anyway, I'm going to fold it the other way. So I fold it back on that same crease, even though it's going the wrong way, so that the points are about together. And in keeping with this is tea bag strings that I use that I braided. I'll show you how I did that in a minute. I decided in keeping with that, instead of just using a little thread, I'm going to go ahead and use the tea bag string to tie these together. I'm going to just put a piece of cardboard in there or something that raises it up so that you're not stitching it to the back. And then come through, make sure you're getting all the layers. And I'm coming through about at that mark that I made. And it's a little thicker, so it's a little harder to pull, but that's no matter. And then I'm going to go down into the mark I made and just punch through, take the cardboard out, pull it through, and then I'm going to just loop the thread around the needle a couple times and kind of reach inside there and stick the knot up inside there. If it shows and it bothers you, you could just put a little glue or something on it so that it's not showing. You could leave a tail on so that you can really stick it down in there. And then you could put some glue stick or anything else. I'm just going to cut that tail off because I don't care if the knot shows really. So that's good. I'm happy with that. If I could bring it up here without my focus going bad. Okay, now I'm going to take my 3 strings of tea bag strings that are the same. I use these for tea dyeing paper, so that's why they're nice and dyed, although you could just use them if you drank tea. So I have 3 strands. I've tied a knot about 3/4 of an inch or an inch away from the end. And I'm going to tape that down on a surface, and then I'm going to braid this. I'm not a very fast braider, so either you can skip forward or I will speed it up. You could use yarn. You could use a thicker string. You could actually just put a hook. If you're going to use it for an ornament, you could just put a hook in the eyelet. So when you've got about the same amount, an inch and a half, an inch or 3/4 of an inch, you're going to tie it about that same distance. It's not critical. And then you're going to go through your eyelet. I go from the front to the back, but it does not matter. See where where your knots are about even. And then I'm going to just grab this part that's just above the point on my envelope and just separate it. I'm going to take the knot that's on the front of the envelope and get it and stick it through that little space, which is too small. There we go. And then just give it a little tug. That might have been a little too far up, so that they're together. You can do that better and judge it so that they are closer to matching, but that's fine. So that's the little envelope. That's ready for decorating with the fabric leaves and the felt pieces. But in the next video, I'm going to show you how to put the beads into the little felt cups. If you haven't watched the felt cup video, I'll put a link for that and you can go watch that. This has been Ann. I hope you liked this little project and that you'll give it a try. And if you did, I hope you'll subscribe, ring the bell for future videos. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.